Welcome to the Lessons for Living television program. My name is Bill Santos. Thank you so much for watching. You know, we really love to bring to the program every so often experts, individuals that we feel have something of real value to contribute. And today is no exception. We have returning to our program today, Dr. David Sloan. Dr. Sloan, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be back.
It's great to have you. Every time you're here, you share such practical insights in terms of our health and things we can be doing to live healthier lives. And the feedback we get is always overwhelmingly supportive. And so I was just happy that the schedules were able to align, that you were able to be with us here today. And many of our viewers that are regular viewers know you and they've seen you on the program before, but you know, we probably have some folks watching for the very first time. And so I was wondering if you just do a very quick introduction to who is Dr. David Sloan.
Yeah, so Bill, based on my early experiences with my own health, this led me, and I feel God led me into this work. So I've been a doctor of natural medicine for over 42 years now in full-time practice. And currently my clinic is in Whitby, Ontario, Sloan Natural Health Center. And we just, so inspiring to be able to help so many people.
I can imagine.
And great to share some of those things on your program.
Well, it's great. For the benefit of our viewers, if they visit our website and they go to the previous programs tab, there is a link directly to your website and it's always up there because we value what it is that you do.
Thank you.
Now, one of the last times you were here, and it may have been the last, I don't recall, you've been here a number of times, you introduced us to this model called the Transform model, TRANSFORM. And it's actually an acronym, right?
Exactly.
And we did a couple of programs on that. Well, we have some news for our viewers, is that you have taken that model, I guess, as it's at its core, and you've written a book.
Yes. Transform
Your Health, Transform Your Life, how you can transform your life mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, and financially. David Sloan. So, first of all, congratulations on this.
Thank you.
On this.
Yes.
And so, let me ask you, what, why put it into a book?
Well, 42 years in practice, you pick up a lot of things. And I just really felt impressed. I felt God was impressing me, that I should share what I've learned, and with a format that's easy to remember.
Right.
And as I expressed on the program a few years ago, that God gave me this word,
yes.
Transform. And it just works out so wonderfully well. And I just feel that if people would follow these principles, which are not difficult, and I feel that they're God's laws of health, that it will transform your life.
So remind us again of the acronym. So
what they stand for.
Yeah, what they stand for.
All right.
Yeah.
So T, trust in God. R for rest. A for activity. N for nutrition. S for supplementation. F for finances. O for outlook. R for relationships, and M for motivation.
Okay. Transform. And so a couple of things I always found very interesting. I always found the model very interesting. But one of the areas where it differs from some of the other models that I've seen, you begin with trust in God.
Yes.
And tell me about that.
Well, if as a foundation we have a faith, and that faith in God is strong, that is going to help every other aspect of our health, right through the RANSFORM. And so it's got to be the foundation. It's the foundation for everything. And we as Christians accept that our faith in God comes first. It's our first thing. God is jealous of us. He loves us so much, and he wants to have a relationship with us. So if we build that, if we build that foundation, then everything else is that much better.
Interesting. Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. I mean, when Jesus was here on earth, he said, I have come that they might have life and have it more abundantly.
Yes.
God is interested in all of us, the entire person. So I always thought that was very interesting. Now, because you've gone through the model with us, and I would encourage folks to go to the previous programs tab and they can see those programs. Now, some things that you've added certain things here to the book that weren't part of the original or Transform Point 1, right?
Yes, very much.
What would be a couple of those that you think were quite impactful as you went through it?
Well, there's a lot of things. I actually haven't gone through the book until, we talked about doing these programs. I wrote the book the first winter through COVID, the COVID pandemic. And so it's been a while. And as I looked through it, I thought, yeah, this is really quite interesting. And it's my own book, but I just thought of it through other people's eyes. What are they going to get out of this book?
Right.
And so I would encourage everybody to get this book because there is so much in here. And I obviously I can't talk about all of it, but I do want, as you say, talk about a few high points.
So, if I may interrupt you, so where can folks get the book now?
So anywhere where you buy books,
whether
it's Amazon or Barnes & Noble or who knows, the different Christian bookstores, but you can get it online. Anywhere, ebook or in the hard copy.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that I start out with is the balance wheel of life.
Okay, I saw that. Yeah.
And we take the acronym and we put that on spokes of a wheel. And then what I ask the reader to do is to rate themselves on each and every one of those letters, those aspects of health, trust in the Lord, rest, activity, and so on. And hopefully on the screen we'll show it, but when you do your own and you compare it to a perfectly round wheel, you may find that wheel isn't quite round as much as you'd like. And that represents the areas in your total makeup here with this acronym where you might need to work on to improve. And so it gives you at a glance, if you're really wanting to improve your health and improve your life, that it just at a glance tells you where you're at.
Right.
And then you can make the steps. And I go through that in the book, which I wouldn't have had a chance when we did the previous programs to talk about the details about what's involved with developing the things that God gave us to, to learn, to move forward, to improve, to become better.
Right, okay.
Because I truly believe that God did not just put us here to vegetate.
No, of course.
He wants us to grow mentally and physically and socially and emotionally and above all spiritually. And so this is the beginning of the book where we start. So it's a bit of a journey.
Okay, so you get a snapshot of where you are, like where am I right now?
Exactly.
And where I'd like to be, and now let's chart a path.
Yeah.
To get us to where we would like to be.
Yeah. There's so much negativity and so much illness and, that is around us.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be better to focus on the positive, to focus on what's good about this world, what's good about what we can do, what's good about what God's given us? And this is what I've tried to bring across in my book.
When I was in the consulting business many years ago, we used to look at, do a very simple exercise. We just put up a circle, and you would ask folks to write within the circle those things that are within your control.
Yeah.
And outside of the circle, those things that are outside of your control. Let's focus on those things that are within my control.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only ones I'll have any influence and any impact on. Sounds like almost like the same kind of a thought. Like
it is, and not everybody's going to go for that.
Right.
But I think there's something in this book for everybody.
Okay.
I really do. The first chapter I open up with is how I got to where I am today. As I mentioned earlier, I had some serious health problems when I was young.
In fact, you were only given a couple years to live.
Couple years to live. And this is 40-something years, going on 50 years later. And I'm still here.
Yes, praise God.
Praise God.
That's right.
But I truly think that that was a turning point in my life where I had to make decisions, like it's crossroads.
Yes.
You know, are you going to continue doing what you're doing and go down the road that I was told? Or am I going to make changes, and am I going to make the effort to execute those changes? And this is what I challenge everybody who reads this book, is like, assess where you're at, find out what can you do to prevent illness and to have this quality of life that everybody wants to have. They really
Right.
do. I mean, I'm in practice every day. I know everybody is there because they want to make a change in their life, in their health, that will, well, so they can be with their grandchildren. They'll be live
Right.
to enjoy their grandchildren, or, you know, many other things. So this is a driving, I believe everybody has this, unless they have totally lost their hope in life. And that is a place where we don't want people to go.
Right. And that probably explains why you start with trust in God, right?
Yeah.
So is there any age, I mean, I assume I know the answer to the question, but is there any age that is too old to start?
No,
No.
absolutely not. I believe that because God has made us in such an amazing way, that if we just give our body a chance, things can turn around remarkably. And it may not be overnight, but relatively quickly, compared to the amount of time that we have been in ill health, or maybe not been living well, maybe abusive habits and different things, and how your body can turn around so quickly when you just make even some minor changes. It's just remarkable. God is so good.
I'm going to take advantage of you being here. I'm going to share some of my challenges with you, but the first R is, it says for rest, right?
Yes.
I'll tell you, I sleep like I can fall asleep very quickly, but I will go for months sometimes, like waking up at 3:15, like my head's going 100 miles, 100 miles an hour, thinking about my kids,
Yeah.
their future,
Yeah.
like you said, you look around us, look at everything that's going on. And anything I can do,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that is a pretty common problem that folks have today.
Very common.
Not getting enough rest.
Yes.
Not enough rest is bad for your health. Why? I'm assuming it's more than just because you're going to be tired.
Yeah, no, it has a lot of drawbacks, and in fact, this problem that you're talking about it's almost an epidemic, because our life is so intricate, complex, involved. We have so many things, stimuli, and to shut that down, it's difficult for most people. And so, the easy answer is, Bill, is that apart from lifestyle things, and, I would say don't watch the news before you go to bed, and read something that's, pleasant or that relaxes you. And what I say in the book, one of the things I say is, when I go to bed, I try to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. To God.
Okay.
And oftentimes I won't even get the 3 in, and I'm asleep. Now, it's not your problem to get to sleep. I understand. You're just waking up and you're not getting back to sleep.
Yes.
So typically, for that, then I turn to God's pharmacy, and I use a remedy called a vena sativa.
Okay.
Because that remedy is particularly good for what we call executive stress. That's what you have. Your mind just won't stop. It just keeps going. It's like a tape, and it just is fast forward. It just won't stop. And so that remedy, along with the other things I recommended, will fix that problem.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That is.
I've used it for, 30 or odd years.
And you can find that in a health food store? Or?
Yeah. I use
Probably
it
need to
in
go to a practitioner?
I use it in a homeopathic tincture.
Okay.
It gets to be a little bit more complicated because I'm fussy about the exact tincture that I use and so on. But suffice to say, it's likely available somewhere. If not, you can get a hold of us and we'll make sure you get it.
That's wonderful. I'd kind of like to make our way through we're probably not going to get through all of them in this program. We'll do another program with you.
Yes.
But, so A was activity, right? Is there anything, new maybe an activity or something additional that as you wrote the book that, that you thought was, well, this is an important insight to add here?
Yes, I think an important thing, Bill, is that people would recognize that it's not, what is important is that you engage in some sort of activity. And as I said, probably on previous programs, the word exercise is a bad word for a lot of people. They don't really like that. But activity, that's different. And I stress, doing things you like, doing things you enjoy. Go out for a walk, go for a swim, work in the garden, just walk around in the house. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be, hitting the weights. You don't have to be running, training for the Boston Marathon to be in good shape or these triathlons or anything. But if you just get some activity every day, it is going to make a huge difference. And as I point out in the book, walking is what most people can do. Most people can walk. But even if you can't walk, there are other ways that you can be active. And that, to me, is important because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't work out an hour or 2 hours a day. I can't get to a gym, or I'm just too busy, or I'm this or that. And I give a lot of tips on how to get around that and encourage people that some activity is way better than none. And that you can actually do very well.
Yeah, that's a relatively recent sort of discovery. I don't know if that's the term for it, right? That because we had been told years ago, that it needed to be this type of activity for this amount of time, and then I began to hear that, any kind of get up and just be active, as you say.
And
so what
activity
does it do?
Begets activity.
Yeah. So what does it do? What actually? What happens to me when?
So, basically, we're not just one-dimensional. We have many dimensions to our makeup. So if you focus on one area, that actually has spillover into others. So if you're going to get more active, then that physically moves the blood around, you get better circulation, it activates the brain, then you become more positive. You usually feel, as I said earlier, activity begets activity. You feel like doing more.
Right, okay.
And for most people, it actually helps them to get along better as opposed to going downhill. You're never kind of in a, you're never stagnant. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And it's just like in business, you're either moving forward or you're going the other way. Yeah. It's the same thing in health. You don't want to stay still. You want to be moving forward because you need to. God created us to be active, to move.
Would you agree with that? I mean, that statement that so many people use that, sitting is the new smoking or whatever. Or sit it, sit it, I don't even know what
sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, it's the new smoking.
Yeah. And to a degree, I would say that's true. Obviously, those who are workers that are chained to a desk, like I am most of the time, we really have to work hard at being active. But there are ways to get around it. You get up every half hour, you move around. There's things that you can do. I just say, just have it in your mind, just keep moving, because it will pay off. When you get to be my age and you can move around, you thank God, because I see so many people in my practice that are in their 50s, 40s, that can't do what I do. And it's simply because they have neglected things that are in this book. That's one of them.
And is nutrition.
N is for nutrition. Yes. So, what could I share about nutrition today that, one of the things that's becoming more in vogue, I guess, is a plant-based diet. And I have been on a plant-based diet for, I guess it's well over 40 years, 45 years. And I have been able to prove for myself the benefits that everyone's talking about today. And they're true. They're absolutely true. In general, a plant-based diet will allow you to put less stress on your major organs of the body.
Okay.
So we're talking about the heart, the lungs, the liver, so on. What that translates into is longevity and more mobility and more energy through your life, and especially into the later years, because that is so important to many people now who are getting into those years.
Now, you had mentioned it's become in vogue. One of the things that I've seen, over the last little while is more like many of the fast food restaurants, for example, offering like plant-based alternatives.
Yes.
What's your view? We're not going to mention any brands here, but on sort of that type of processed plant-based product.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at, Bill, and that is what's the quality of that food?
Yeah.
What is this really good for us,
Right.
or is it?
Yeah.
And I would say yes and no.
Okay.
So some are okay and some are not. And I'm not going to mention anything as you say, but I think it's important to be careful to look into what are those ingredients.
Okay.
Sometimes you may have heard the term Frankenfood.
Yes.
And that's food that is not, it's called natural, but you start looking into it, it's not really natural particularly. It's kind of synthesized in a way, put together. And so the closer that you can get to food that comes out of the ground that God gave us, the better it's going to be.
Just on the food again, I'm just curious, man. We don't rehearse these, right? These are questions that I have, and every chance I get a chance to see you. So I've heard mixed reviews like on olive oil. Like you should use olive oil, you shouldn't use olive oil. Like we use some avocado oil at home, we use some coconut oil. We do use some olive oil also, generally not for cooking, but so what's your take on the oils? On the oils?
Yeah. Okay, so olive oil is a beautiful oil because it's heat stable. It's one of the top oils that we can use. So if you use olive oil, you can never go wrong.
Okay.
And I think it's very interesting because it goes way back in biblical times.
Yes.
Right back to, and it still has value today. It is one of the best oils, for sure. And I like coconut oil too. That's good. What I don't like is the oils that are processed so much that they have lost their nutritional value, the omega-3s particularly. And we're getting way too many omega-6s in these are essential fatty acids in our diet. So olive oil is a really good way. Flax oil is very good. Coconut oil, these are things that have a lot of health benefits.
Well, we've got a minute left and we haven't gotten halfway through I'm not a prophet, but I could have predicted this is what was going to happen. So we're going to have you back again and continue to make our way through this. Want to encourage our viewers to look up the book, Transform Your Health, Transform Your Life, how you can transform your life mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, and financially. Tremendous amount of information here that is so valuable, so practical, that can in fact allow each and every one of us to live life and live it more abundantly, which is exactly God's plan. We're going to pray now. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much that we are wonderfully made out of the hands of a loving God who created us and has provided people like Dr. Sloan with the intellect, with the wisdom to share that guidance that you want for us, that we might live life more abundantly. And so we thank you for him and for the fine work that he has done over 42 years in helping heal this world. Father, I pray for our viewers right now, particularly those that are suffering right now in illness. Father, may your healing hand touch them, and may you direct them down the path to a healthier, more abundant life. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, Dr. Sloan, we're all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we go, could you remind the viewers of your clinic there in Whitby, where it is, how to contact you?
Yes, you can contact me at Sloan Natural Health Center. It's 101 Mary Street West in Whitby, Ontario.
Well, we would recommend folks do that. And we're going to have you back again. We're going to continue to make our way through this book and provide this valuable information. So thank you for agreeing to come back.
Look forward to it.
Just before we go, for our viewers, want to remind you of our website, l4ltv.com. There'll be a link to Dr. Sloan's clinic there. All of our previous programs are listed there, and so you can see any of the previous programs we have done with Dr. Sloan and any of the other programs. Also want to encourage you to follow me on Instagram every morning at 6:30 a.m. I put out a 1-minute devotional video on Instagram, and folks tell me that it's a great starting point for their day as they focus on things of heaven right off the bat. So check out our Facebook page and follow me on Twitter. Well, we are rapidly running out of time. We hope to have the opportunity to do this again next time. We hope you'll make the decision to be with us. God bless you. We'll see you back here then.